starting up.
Trial.
Whoa. Whoa. Apologies for that sound boost there. I need to fix up my sound after this.
Trial.
Okay, we are live again. Can send out the link saying apologies, we had to do a forced server restart. Games will be going live as it's now half past 8. Let's hopefully we get some of the viewers filtering back in.
Trial. Trial.
Okay, I don't see any viewers logged on yet, but you guys can let me know how's it going. Ah, hectic.
Trial.
Just confirm for me it is public and listed and all the rest. Yeah, I see it as public. I'm gonna live for
Trial.
1 minute now. We have one viewer.
Trial.
And some tunes in the background. Cool, we are loading into Inferno, so I'm assuming it will be a rapid little load in and on and back and for the rest.
It's unlisted maybe.
Is it unlisted?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Trial.
so that
Trial.
should have changed it around.
Trial.
Did we have
Trial.
the notifications get sent out?
Trial.
I think I got one.
Okay, fantastic. And we're back on live, loading into Inferno, and let's see if we can pick up where they left off.
Trial.
There we go. Hopefully now we have a slightly better server for them to play on.
Trial.
While we wait for everyone to load in onto Inferno. Gonna assume that the teams will not go straight back into a knife round, but continue where they went off. Perhaps the server's just setting up now, but I am seeing some loss coming through on the server. It's a pity that we can't find decent servers here locally hosted. But now that everyone's loaded in, seems the server is stabilizing much quicker. They're probably going to go right back into the rounds as needed, and we are going to just wait for everyone to ready up, and we will flick straight back over into round 1.
Trial.
Apologies to all our viewers for that delay. And there we go. We are back live. Thankfully, we've managed to find a decent server to play tonight's little scrim on. I'm assuming they're just going to discount any frags or rounds that happened on the first part. There was a considerable issue with the server. Some players getting up to 50% packet loss, but at least everyone experiencing some. I believe the minimum was 20, so it was borderline unplayable for anyone. The match is now restarting. We have for the Horde on their counter-terrorist pick due to them winning the initial knife round with BloodRush, our terrorist team. Team's captained by Narc for FTH for the Horde, and Pet the Human for BloodRush. Good luck to both teams, and let's see what comes out of this. So already a different start from the previous round. Imperfection holding mid, getting a nice pick on for the Horde. Imperfection getting a second hit on Barcode there. Ooh, one top headshot by Narc. Well done to him. But the bomb has been planted there at A site. Crucial play by Terrorists because it is their largest economy play on the first round. First round going very cleanly to BloodRush Gaming. And they now are already starting with a bit of a buy up. Unusual to see the Terrorists buy up so early, but since they have won the first round, they can afford to. Couple submachine guns coming out there, and Necropolis having a unusual purchase of a shotgun, not something that I'm very used to seeing.
Well, the shotgun deals insane damage, and it actually gives him more money when you get a kill with the shotgun. I think it gives more money with the Mac.
Unfortunately not paying off.
What's it play? Let's see what the counter terrorists can do. There's it looks like we got a player in apps. Apps takes down BloodRush or Human.
Unfortunately, didn't manage to make that Mac pickup pay off, but a very interesting rotation for him. King of Wars smoked off, gets dropped very quickly, and Imperfection takes out the final player for FTH.
Now, it looks like FTH's economy is strong enough for them to buy, but I doubt they will buy. I think they're going to save one more round. Whereas BloodRush Gaming have decided to buy up AKs, and they've got a scout. Let's see if
scout on Necro. I'm assuming that's an early giveaway sign that Necro is going to be this week's AWPer. We are missing one of wow, very good shot there by him.
Smoke. What a shot! What a play by Necro.
Imperfection having a very strong round with his. Is that a 5.7 there?
That there is a Glock. The Glock has
I
been,
see that he did throw away the 5.7 at the end of the last round and is now on his Glock. But he's had a very powerful pistol round these first three rounds that they've had. Imperfection sitting at 7-1. Purely with pistol buy-ups. Very impressive to see, and he's been a force of domination for BloodRush.
Yeah, no, if you got a top fragger, then it helps. So I read something really interesting today, Mindy, in our one of our Counter-Strike groups. So how they've worked it out is they've got 2 hardcore carriers, and they've got 2 supports, and I don't know what the last player does. I think he is a lurker. So basically what your supports do is they support your heavy fraggers, and by that I mean like they flashbang them in, molly off players, and anyway do partial damage just so that the heavy fraggers can handle themselves.
An interesting strategy that you mentioned there, because that's a play style that you often see in other 5-player teams, particularly in the MOBA strategy. So seeing it being replicated into Counter-Strike is probably something that would have happened naturally over time. We see for the Horde taking their first round there, and the very definite economy swing going their way.
That was an excellent play by for the Horde, taking down 2 players in the apartments, in the apps apartments. That's giving them a head as they, after those 2 first were taken out, 2 more fell, and it was again a 1v5 situation. Now let's see what BloodRush does, and they still going for that BA apartments rush.
It seems to be a pretty standardized strategy for terrorists on this map, probably due to a very limited choice of any other strategy to take. It's a very defensible map, as we've spoken to some of our professional snipers that we have casted previously here, Maddox, because there are very few lines that need to be covered and very few points that need to be used for the utility, the smoke grenades.
And flashbang with that. And
BloodRush getting partial. Rascal there unfortunately got spotted while he was up in apartments. Let's see Psycho holding mid. And the rush happens. Fortunately, Pet the Human gets taken down, and Dizzy Rascal very shortly afterwards. Some
now
very clever rush crossfire happening there.
4v3 situation. Let's see what Necro Psycho actually can do. As CT currently have the bomb. As I said, that Cave takes out Psycho Joe. And King of Wars takes out Imperfection. Now it's only left up to Necro with his AWP.
A man with a plan and an AWP.
Let's see what he can do against. Oh.
So now. Oh.
One kill on King. Oh,
and
flanked by Barcode.
Well played there by the two of them. Barcode managing to steal that AWP away from Necro. Passes it on to Knock. Knock, the captain of for the Horde, as well as their AWPer. No pressure on him to strategize as well as focus with a very key weapon. Pet the Human, unfortunately, having to have a bit of an eco round there himself, while the rest of his team manages their normal buys of AKs, and Dizzy Rascal there on his apologies for that hesitation there. It looks like we are starting to get packet loss again on this server. I'm not quite sure what is happening tonight. It is quite frustrating. It's frustrating. It does seem to come and go, and it is not something that we can control from our side. It seems to have spiked up and then back down.
And as you said that
it comes back up.
DTs are currently doing a perfect hold on B. Pet the Human taking down Barcode. Is he going to go through CT to B side? No, he's holding archers.
A good kill by Dizzy Rascal there. Through the door frame as well. Although pressure onto him. 2v3. King of Wars rotating rapidly. Narc with his AWP, but in a very bad position. Fortunately, the video quality that we are receiving from this server is definitely subpar. Narc gets a good shot off on Dizzy Rascal, and they manage to hold the plant for what they needed to.
That was an amazing peek by Narco.
It really was.
Looks like the packet loss has died on my side. I don't know what it is there by you, Mindy.
Currently at 0%, but we seem to be starting most rounds very, very low. But as the players start moving, as you can see now on my stream, the packet loss slowly does decline, and then as the utility goes out, the server doesn't seem to manage it. As the smokes head out, packet loss increases a little bit more. As the flashes gets a little bit worse. So we are having a bit of an issue with our source video. Hopefully we still will be able to record a decent scrim match for these two teams for them to analyze at the end. But let's watch this B rush that is happening right here by the terrorists. A sneaky little spot by Caveman managed to take down two, while Kings of War gets another. That was a 3-for-1 situation. Barcode creeping on. Interesting little flash coming off. That doesn't manage to bounce the way he wants it to, and BloodRush drops him down. Charles coming up for the flank. And Pet the Human in a very difficult position, taking 1v3 surrounded from all sides.
And sad thing as well, Pet the Human didn't have enough to buy full armor. So this is going to be an interesting game. Let's see what he can do in this 1v3 situation. Backed up into a corner. Caveman and Charlie barking.
Slowly but surely they're going to flush him out. They do know that he is a timed, because he is playing on terrorist. He has just 30 seconds left to plant the bomb. So ideally what the Counter-Strike can do is minimize their losses and hold for as long as possible. A good prediction from Pet the Human. Unfortunately doesn't manage to get the hit. He thought there would be someone sitting on high. Flashes off. Bit of pre-fire. Taking down King. Unfortunately, a bad reload from him, and Charlie can take down PTH.
unlucky. In those situations, 1v3 is really hard, and with no armor. Not just that, they complaining about the loss as well at the moment. This is really sad today.
It is a very unfortunate thing to see two teams willing to play, wanting to play, and being let down, not from any internal issues, but something so far beyond their control. I can just imagine if I'm receiving the packet loss and the frame drop, spectating them with minimal usage on my computer and purely just a 1 gigabit per second line, unable to get a decent quality from the server. Imagine trying to play on that situation of packet loss today. It must be extremely frustrating in my mind.
And not just that, one Imperfection says every time he's in a gunfight he gets 60% packet loss.
I can actually completely agree with that situation, because in the clutch moments there, when the smokes are going out, when the gunfights are in full force, the server definitely has some noticeable struggles. Anyway, there's no point complaining over spilt milk. There's not much else we can do. Thank you very much, Stallion, for that comment there. Let's get back and focus, control what we can control. It is 5 rounds to 3 for the counter-terrorist. Not unheard of in our mind, because we are aware that this is a CT favored map. So it was actually a very good push for BloodRush to take those first few early rounds and utilize that advanced economy they had to try and get a little bit on the board on Inferno. We see Necro on his AWPer, perhaps get some good spots there. Sees the nade fly across before she doesn't manage to get the jump. Interesting to see that Barcode pushed into mid there. Paid off for him with being able to take out Rascal. Knock sitting nice and safe, with Necro deciding to push his AWP towards B.
That was a very interesting decision there by Barcode, and it paid off. Now it looks like the terrorists are going to be pushing B. Let's see how Caveman and Kings of War holds this site.
They definitely communicated to Necro that there's no point pushing down mid anymore. Let's do a hard push onto B. The rotation has come across. BloodRush and Perfection cut down because we saw Barcode also doing a rapid rotate through mid there and catching them from behind. Caught between a rock and a hard place, unfortunately.
Now, as the economy is looking really strong on the CT sides, where with the T sides the economy isn't that strong. Let's see what the T sides decide to do, as they have bought 2 AKs and a Galil, and where Dizzy Rascal and Perfection are sticking to the pistols.
So it's almost a half eco round for the terrorists there, where the counter-terrorists have picked up the double AWP situation. King of War thumping Dizzy Rascal straight through the woodwork there. Unfortunately, that allows for very little counterplay from Dizzy Rascal. When you get shot by a bullet 10 times stronger than anything you can return with, and straight through the...
2 kills on Necro and Psycho Joe. Let's see what...
Perfection free firing into the smoke, giving away his position, and Charlie will definitely be rotating through apartments to pick him up from behind. At the same time, Pet the Human didn't manage his B push, taken out there by the AWP. Imperfection getting the headshots onto Barcode. A rapid reaction there, taking out Charlie as well, and we start seeing the rotations from the counter-terrorist team, realizing he is stuck in A, taken out by that AWPer.
And Kings of War with the nice wall bang on Imperfection. Unlucky. That was a 5v1 situation. And no situations with the packet loss and not having the utilities. It's really hard to clutch through.
So we see Stallion's comment there that wouldn't it be much wiser for the team to have spread their economy over all their players, as opposed to buying up the rifles and having 2 players almost completely out of the round. We see a pseudo-similar situation here, and for at least everyone's managed to get some sort of weaponry on the board.
I think Alien is right there with regards to those 3 rifles and the 2 pistols. The SMGs would have done more damage, and everyone would have had the exact same amount of firepower, and Rush would have.
Some good pickoffs by Charlie Barkin there, holding that corridor at apartments, managing to take 2 for his own cost, but at the same time, there were some firefights happening, and we are down to a 2v4. Kings of War, heavily partial, but definitely still in the game on that AWP.
Yeah, no, BloodRush there took a bit too long to get that trade kill, and as I said, that Pet the Human's taken down by Barcode, and Necro with the trade kill.
Necro choosing to save this round. He manages to take out Barcode, pick up, or not pick up, he's kept his scout and has decided to save on a scout. Still contact here right at the end with 30 seconds to go. His position has been given away.
Positioning himself in for a flank on Necro,
and
Necro
successfully so. Interesting little statistic there that Narc has managed to last the last 7 rounds without dying. So he is sitting on full out buys. He can even be donating some of his money to his other teams. Definitely not needed at all. Charlie is a bit low on his team, so massive economy advantage for the counter-terrorists here, where we see the terrorists onto the second eco round. They are being forced into what I believe is called the tech rush. Isn't that right, Maddox?
That is a Tech 9 rush. Normally on Dust 2 we call it Tech 9B, but it looks like they are going Tech 9B, but they're not rushing it. With regards to the economy, it looks like Narco and Caveman can buy for the team each, even if they lose the next couple of rounds, as the economy is really strong at the moment.
So their strategy of rushing B has definitely been given away. They've been held and pushed back, but at the same time, we see Charlie almost in position for that flank. Let's see what he can do as he approaches there. No need, he didn't even need to get there in time as the rest of his team pushes into the terrorists, lock there in Banana, and
I think both teams have I think the Pact Loss has gotten into BloodRush's head, as they did so well in the beginning, and all of a sudden after the Pact Loss got intense, they
So thankfully, from what I've seen, I've been watching the packet loss over the last 2 or 3 rounds, and it has settled down quite a bit. So the mid rounds, I'm thinking rounds maybe 3 to 10, was heavily affected by packet loss, but the last 2 rounds, it has petered off a little bit. Let's see what Charlie can do here in apartment. Manages to take one, flashed out, and retreats with his life. Definitely a success in my mind. Imperfection always holding his Bravo, but the rest of the team under a bit of pressure. Pet the Human gets a nice pick off there. Necro sitting at the back.
Situation. So with the rotate of 3 players going on to, never mind, Pet the Human taking down Charlie with a nice pick.
Well played there. Let's see what Barcode can do. Pet the Human is very, very partial. He drops down, takes him out. Ooh, thankfully Necro manages to finish him off before he does even more damage with his bright pink AWP. Well done on Imperfection there. Caveman takes out Necropolis. At the very least, Imperfection is aware where he is. And with the bomb planted, Imperfection decides to back off. And he is defusing. He's aware of the defuse, and Imperfection takes down Caveman. Well done there. Just as we were commenting that it seems that BloodRush were tilting and it was snowballing out of their control, they managed to take back a little bit of respect, economy, and as we head into the penultimate round of this half, let's hope that BloodRush manages to hold on to this and keeps it competitive before they move on to the advantaged CT side.
Man, I was really looking forward to that Ninja Defuse.
You were hoping for a Ninja Defuse there.
I was hoping for one. I was like on my edge of my seat. Yeah, can you do it?
Ooh, Psycho takes Charlie. Absolutely flashed. Didn't have a clue what was going on there.
And Barcode with the nice trade kill. That is an excellent play. I see King of Wars is complaining that he's jumping around the map with his packet loss. So, and as I say, that's 3 kills to for the Forge as they take down
3 kills from
BloodRush.
3 different members. You mentioned earlier the trade kill, and that is something that's absolutely crucial within Counter-Strike. Even if you aren't managed to have that single play of outplaying your opponent, if you're able to... Barcode finishing off Necropolis there. If you are able to at least reply to the enemy teams taking out one of your own players by getting him down, making sure that you have visibility on each other at all times, it definitely increases the team's play potential there. We're heading into the last round of this half before we see the trade over, the balance of power staying with the counter-terrorists but moving over to BloodRush. He gets to play them now. We are starting to get a bit of a understanding of for the Horde's playstyle. We have a double AWP situation there between King and Narc. Charlie being a very aggressive style player, with Caveman quite often being the last player alive on their team. Well, I say that it's of the 3 of the 4 rounds that we've managed to watch them. Kinga dropping down Pet the Human there with his AWP. Narc's deciding to rotate into Bravo because it seems the terrorists have managed to break in to Bravo right at the final round here and have successfully started a bomb plant. The bomb is down, 40 seconds left for the counter-terrorists, a 2v5 situation. Let's see what they can do. Imperfection taking down Charlie, but it's all down to Narc with his big banging AWP there.
and he's flanking them. Let's see if BloodRush can predict what is going to happen. Looks like they mollied him off. So, misses a pick on Banana.
His position is definitely given away, and unfortunately, with 2 people still sitting within Bravo, his little pistol's not going to be able to do much. That goes the first half, as predicted, to the counter-terrorists team, 10-5. I must admit, it is a better performance than what I've seen on this map. I have seen many, many times counter-terrorists taking Inferno 12-13 rounds in comparison, with the replying counter-terrorist team doing a very similar situation. So having a 60-30 split so far means that there is a definite potential for BloodRush to manage to come back in this. So we see the rush into Bravo as predicted. That means the terrorists have managed to push in hard. A very similar situation as to what happened the first round of the terrorists for when BloodRush was playing them. Bomb is down. They're getting that extra economy. A good pick off by King there. Psycho drops. Dizzy Rascal takes him, and Barcode finishes it off. Apologies there. Charles Barker managing to finish it off one. It looks like Barcode was doing a lot of damage. Hopefully he got a considerable assist there.
Oh, well, if you look at it now, you can see that with regards to the KD ratio, looks like terrorists are currently doing really well with regards to their KD ratio, as
very evenly split across the whole of the for the Horde team, while a definite weighting towards imperfection on the counter-terrorist there for BloodRush. So an interesting rotate that's happening here. They managed to sneak in through A and have rotated around 2B, while Barcode will see if he can hold off the rotation from the last 2 members. Rascal manages to sneak through, while Charles Barkle drops down Infection. The second bomb down. Oof, and it's down to Pet the Human to see what he can do here. Unfortunately, out equipment, outgunned, wasn't able to hold that. And the first 2 eco rounds for the counter-terrorist have gone round. They should be able to buy up a couple submachine guns here, while the terrorists stick to their submachine guns, don't do that upgrade into the AKs, and we have our first round where the two teams are on vaguely even footing. This will be down to strategy and playstyle, and we see that the terrorists are opting for their third B rush in a row. Will Necro be able to hold them with his shotgun here? I believe he did get a bit of a peek. Both of them dropping very rapidly. Barcode, Caveman taking them down with those Mag-10s. Dizzy Rascal deciding to go long through Banana, while Psycho Joe pre-firing gets mollied down. A slow reaction from him because, yes, as I suspected, the packet loss is returning, especially when we are spectating some of the members of BloodRush.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, the internet always has something to do with these online competitive games, and not just internet, but the servers as well. And I think because the master server hasn't been used in a long time,
it's probably due for a bit of a touch-up, a bit of an update, and yeah, always got to do a bit of house cleaning. An unfortunate situation that we do find ourselves in.
Also, if you notice that sometimes these players do not move, and for me, I think it means their packet loss is quite bad, and therefore them not moving is trying for them to get their packet loss to decrease, and in doing so, sometimes has resulted into an kill for the opposing team.
A very unfortunate situation, and I could clearly see that happening there for Psycho Joe. He was standing there, his packet lot went through the moon up to about 60%. He pauses for a moment to see what happens, and during his packet loss situation, he had been mollied, and he hadn't even noticed that he'd lost about 75% of his life before the flames even start appearing on us spectating him. Anyway, we see the terrorists have managed to buy up their AKs. Definite power spike, while the counter-terrorists do have another eco round. Necro and Imperfection forcing to rotate, while they've broken through into Alpha with no losses. Heavily partialed knock, and let's see if they can creep in and get off some consolation prizes here. Necro is almost point blank in space there. Imperfection does the cross-firing. Caveman, 2 quick one-tap headshots. Well done to him.
That is really, really unlucky for the counter-terrorists, as pack loss doesn't just affect their game itself. Looks like their economy was also down for a bit, but as I said, that they have 4 sports.
We see Imperfection pulling out the butt plugs there. Thank you for teaching me that, Maddox. These are Shadow Blades. So we see Imperfection getting boosted here at Bravo. They've been so used to being rushed Bravo that they're playing a much safer game now. Bomb is sitting in middle. We see a Caveman who has played phenomenally well these last few rounds, really feeling his vibe, sitting in second middle there, and the terrorists are playing this round very, very slowly.
Well, by the looks of things, terrorists are going to do a B push where you get King of Horde distracting them, as I said that.
Oh, a good shot there by Knock. His teammate, obviously Barcode, told him that he had seen that Dizzy Rascal was boosted, and he creeps round that corner with his AWP and takes him down there very effectively. Bomb is down for the Horde now. See Necro taking point, drops to King of War. Psycho Joan returns the kill into King of War while he was needing to reload there. Imperfection gets the push onto a bomb site, and he has a massive selection of targets there. A small delay as the packet loss comes through, but thankfully he manages to take Caveman out of the apartments there. I wonder who was having the worst effect of the packet loss there. Noticed both players paused for a moment or two before starting to fire again. And we're on to the final round of this map. Not sure whether I'm going to predict that there's going to be a new server switch after this. I think we've been through 3 different servers tonight, as we did try a server before we even started the stream, and it has been a situation where there's been bad after worse. So we see the terrorists still having a fully powerful economy. Knock gets taken out by Psycho Joe there.
Sorry, man, you just corrected on there. Psycho Joe takes out. No,
Knock takes out Psycho Joe. Apologies. I'll see what I did wrong there.
That confused me as well.
Confused you. I confused everyone. Even had to think that through myself a second time. Dizzy Rascal and Pet the Human, the last two counter-terrorists arrive. It was another B-rush, and they're going to hold on to this quite heavily. Unfortunately, Pet the Human gets AWP'd, and it's down to Dizzy with his MAC-10. He's been given away, and Charlie gets the headshot off that AK. That is the first map going 2 for the Horde. Very interesting gameplay. Unfortunately, it was marred with a lot of issues that were not under the player's control, which is a pity to see. Still, when your chips are down, it's still part of the game that you have to play to. If the situation is that the server is bad, it is universally bad for us spectators, for the players as well. So still well done for the Horde there. They've clearly taken that first round, and we will see where we move on to the second round of tonight's scrim and what details happen there. In the meantime, Maddox, if you'll have a chat to the captains, see what their call is regarding the packet loss and what the next plan going on is.
So they're waiting for the stream, so they'll start the game. I think I can send them a message and say they're ready to start. Yeah, PTH
fantastic.
Asking. As we wait for this, that play by the terrorists onto the
B-rush there. Yeah.
From A to through CT to B. That is a very sneaky play.
It's not something I've seen very often, and on that note, I'm giving amazing props to for the Horde, because from everyone I've spoken to, it's a CT favored map. Inferno is difficult for the terrorists to play, and their strategy on Inferno was outstanding. The consistent B rushes, which eventually forced BloodRush to pull that third member from the A defense onto B, and almost as if they predicted that play, we saw for the Horde push up middle into Alpha and completely skip pushing into Alpha and decide to go and sneak around the back of BloodRush and catch them with their pants down again, getting, I think it was 4 B-side bomb plants in that last half.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're playing a game and you see that the weakest players are on one side, obviously you are going to push that specific site, and for the Horde actually used that to their advantage and went ahead and played like that, and unfortunately BloodRush didn't counter that, and with that happening they may have costed them. Okay. As we wait for the new map, Cobblestone.
Okay, Maddox, I'm going to step aside from the mic for one moment while they load in. Unfortunately, the loading screen is a bright white collection of gammas, so we're going to wait for the different players to load in there, and we will load back into the GoTV stream as soon as a couple players have been loaded in, confirmed to me by Maddox.
Trial.
So yeah, it was an interesting game from the counter-terrorists, as they did a nice hold to stop the terrorists from pushing them and holding it perfectly. Unfortunately, BloodRush could not do the same when they were playing on terrorists, as not just their economy but packet loss did a bit of damage to them and also to their gameplay.
Yeah, I do agree, Maddox. I do agree.
That is happening. They are getting ready for map of Cobblestone.
Fantastic. So let's load into Cobblestone and see what happens here. I wish a much better server status and internet for both our teams. And let's see what happens here. I'd like to put a cheeky comment myself out there, Maddox, that the situation never is fair when it comes to war. But this isn't war we're talking about. It is competitive gaming, and for competitive gaming, it should be equal footing for both teams. While they scrim up a little bit. We see that BloodRush
Trial.
has chosen to start on CT. So we will have a bit of a team
Trial.
swap there. They'll reset it. And BloodRush starting on CT, waiting for their last member to join in. And
Trial.
for the Horde starting on Terrorist again. Wondering whether this is a strategic choice from BloodRush, as they have noted that For the Horde have a very strong terrorist
Trial.
playstyle. Gonna switch over now that the teams
Trial.
have chosen which sides they're gonna be and the players have loaded in. We will restart the cast from the game, and there we go. The reset has happened, and we'll wait for everyone to ready up, and the round will begin. Saw some very impressive plays from some of the members there. I'm going to particularly point out Necropolis on the side of BloodRush. Had a very strong first round there. Imperfection also covering him well. Particular strength on his early game pistols, which if you manage to start strong in the early game, perhaps that gives your team an advantage already and pushes on from that. And on the other side, for the Horde, I was particularly impressed with both Barcode for some unusual aggressiveness, which caught out BloodRush a couple times, as well as Narc. He had a very cool, calm playstyle, and he First Blood, Pet the Human going down. Contact has been made.
Oof. And as you said, that Mindy, that waterfall on drop down does pay off for
Hard rush there for the counter-terrorists and terrorists. And we see Necropolis's pistol coming out here again. He is very strong with it. As I was saying previously, for Narc had a very slow, methodical gameplay. He was where he needed to be in the right times. He was never caught out of position. So a lot of respect goes to him from my side as well. I don't know if you have any comments of plays or player styles that you've picked up so far tonight, Maddox.
Yeah, I agree with you. Barcode has a very exceptional, aggressive way of playing. Charlie and I think it's King of Wars play well together on with regards to holding a site, as you saw on this map. And as I said, that King of War and Charlie Brown take down Imperfection with that Kobe. So that was an excellent play by those two, and unfortunately, like this round is going to go to for the terrorists again, as they steam
almost
over
looked like the
BloodRush.
counter-terrorists were sitting back in spawn and waiting for them to come for them, which is unfortunately not a very strong situation when the terrorists do have the submachine gun buy on you. Pet the Human there picking up his little auto shotty, if I remember that. I've played with that gun a couple times myself in the last week. Terrifying in someone's hands who can just click faster than you do.
And looks like they for the Horde is doing another drop down.
Unfortunate.
Hit the Human.
Fortunately, that auto machine gun didn't pay off for him there.
Nope. And Dizzy Rascal with the trade perfection, taking down Narco, and Kegman taking down Psycho Joe, leaving
Necropolis
Necro
and Imperfection.
alone.
Both of them holding the A side map so far this game, so they're coming in to see what they can clean up. Straight through the smoke and into Barcode's bullets there.
10.
First 3 rounds go to For the Horde. I'm noting they are a very strong terrorist side, and it is definitely a strategy that the teams need to work on, or the teams we've casted at least, because I'm seeing almost a universal favor of counter-terrorists, the defending team, the waiting them out, them pushing them there, and I haven't often seen teams favor the terrorist side until we come up to For the Horde.
I think in this situation the terrorists are doing quite well, because the counter-terrorists are having a hard time holding B. Pushing out when there's no need to do the pushing out and advancing as well. And it looks like like I said, their angles BloodRush is not on par, whereas with for the Horde they picking every angle possible, and another example, Counter Terrorists did a full buy, and it didn't pay out for them, as they did get 3 kills.
And the terrorists' speed is definitely what's taking them. Yeah, they're definitely pushing in hard. Some very good spots there from Barcode. Unfortunately, got picked up behind him. I'm going to let you take over for a moment here, Maddox. I will be right back to join you. We see Caveman on the AWP for the terrorists there. An interesting choice when the aggressive style has taken them so far. Whether the AWP is even needed. AWP goes to Knock, who has played brilliantly well from this. And over to you, Maddox.
So, it looks like they're going to do a drop. Is the terrorists are going to go for a... Caveman is currently AFK in the T-spawn. So, we got a long push by Narco and... Sorry about that, I'm just trying to see who's the one that is holding...
We see that terrorists are playing it very slowly, probably because Caveman is AFK. Wondering as to why that reason is. Perhaps we can see if there's any cross-chat happening across the teams. In the meantime, terrorists are taking their first slow round. King's getting some interesting trades there onto Dirty Rascal, eventually getting that headshot pop off. He can see the conflict that is happening there with Barcode up ahead, covering the doors as securely as possible. Unfortunately, Barcode is the man with the bomb. King of War's taking off the cross there as Barcode flashes off and finally gets the bomb to the bomb plant. BloodRush. Oof, unfortunate time to pick up that weapon. Crossing the corner with his deagle, grabs the Mag-10 off the ground and gets taken up before he can finish loading that up.
Unfortunately, I think it's a mental game at the moment, as we saw a 5v4 situation against BloodRush, and for the Horde taking that.
An interesting comment. We see Caveman has rejoined the team now. He is no longer AFK, as he didn't even leave spawn last round. Pet the Human very heavily utilitying off that waterfall drop there. Imperfection dropping down Barcode. We see the entire terrorist team being held there in middle. King of Wars doing a slow movement toward B site. Necro holding the long side on the far side of A there with his AWP.
See what imperfection is
unfortunately only missing the AWP shot there. Relief there for Charlie Barkin. It almost looked to me as if he legged him, but Charlie managed to get there with get away with a full set of health. Unfortunately, slowly walking around the corner, Pet the Human gets a very sneaky spot off on him, and it seems the counter-terrorists have cooled down, calmed down, and are having a much more impactful round. Fortunately, it's never over till it's over. We still have King of Wars, the current MVP for the Horde. And let's see what he can do versus 5. Well done to Pet the Human there. Takes him down. And the first round of Cobble goes towards BloodRush.
That was an excellent play there by BloodRush, as they did hold their positions and made sure that they didn't overextend as what they've been doing in the last 5 rounds. And it paid off for them.
Thankfully now the counter-terrorists do have a bit of economy to play with. They have their AWP up on Necropolis and guns of choice for the rest of the team. Looks like for the Horde have gone back to a waterfall rush, which has been delayed by Pet the Human. He sees some return grenades coming through there, so he is aware that they will be dropping down waterfall now. They were even slower than he thought, so his free fire into the smoke did not pay off. Caveman has managed to rotate around, and 2 of the counter-terrorists drop.
And Pet the Human with the counter kill onto Caveman. Taking down Kings of War is Psycho Joe. And Necro with the AWP on Barcode, Charlie Brown, and Narco taking down...
we have an AWP war, AWP versus AWP. Knock most likely knows exactly where he is. He decides to swap out for the AK and gets AWP to the head. A very well play there by Necropolis.
What a play there by Necro. That's excellent play there from the counter-terrorists, as they are now starting to hold their positions and not overextend.
Keeping it much calmer, covering each other, getting those return kills. It's what we like to see. The game is on once again. Glad to have BloodRush back in the game. Keep it up, boys. And thankfully, it seems our prayers to the gods have been answered. I'm going to quickly touch wood as to not to jinx it, but there hasn't been any packet loss detected on this map so far. If it suddenly starts being lost, I will kick myself on behalf of all the players and the viewers.
So that last win has forced for the Horde into a eco round, and it's a 2v. Now it's a
1v3 situation. A good pistol spam off there by Narc. He manages to pick himself up a gun, so at least he has a stronger primary now. As he sneaks toward A side, we see two of the counter-terrorist members definitely camping the bomb. We wonder if Narc is deciding to take the safe route, and yes he is. Perhaps that'll give him the chance to spot Pet the Human, covering the high ground there at Alpha. Good timing, he sees them, and what reactions. Head rush onto Pet the Human. Narc, it is your moment. He sees the Molotov fly over his head. Heavily partialing Necro.
For the feet hit the head. Counter-Strike logic right there.
Well, if there's only a head being popped, Narc takes off the second player of Necro. He is clutching this. It is do or die time. Can he be the man who took down 4 of the 5 players on the Counter-Strike team? See him crossing now. Will he spot? Oh, unfortunately doesn't check the corner as far as he needed to. Still very well played to him. And an even better GG to Rascal for managing to hold him off there.
Also a very good play from Narco in that 1v3 situation. Getting 2 of the kills. And also damaging the economy a little bit for the counter-terrorists. And looks like with that round, the economy...
A good point, Maddox, and I'll correct you further there, saying it was 3 people that Narc took out that round, because he got his initial kill for that primary.
Oh yeah, no, that was a nice spam or
little pistol spam there at very close range. He gets the headshot off on his team there. That's 2 down on the counter-terrorist. Caveman being dropped to BloodRush, unfortunately. See what Psycho Joe can do. Psycho sees the grenade. Dirty Rascal sees the grenade being dropped there in Waterfall. Crosses into B site. What's very interesting is where Psycho's Joe position is. He gets spotted out after taking down Charlie Barkin. And it's down to imperfection.
See what he can do. The 1v3 situation.
Barcode sneaks through, gets heavily partialed but takes him down. Gets flashbanged out, taken by King of War, and then gangbanged from behind by Narc. Well done by the 2 of them there.
What's a play? So looks like that spot where Psycho Joe was playing Mindy is called Chicken Coop. Now,
Chicken Coop.
Chicken Coop. That is a nice spot to play if you know how to play it, and Psycho Joe seems to know how to play that area quite well.
I want to take a look at that myself. I haven't been aware of that. So it's I see why it's called Chicken Coop there. Quite an obvious little call. Anyway, let's get back to following the players. King of Wars.
Try an A push this time.
Interesting. Necro's about to get caught out here. Ooh! 1-shot headshot. That AK is a beast of a weapon, but it has definitely given away the situation of where the terrorists are going. Charlie getting another shot on Pet the Human. Thankfully, Imperfection catches Caveman as he crosses through mid there. But he is definitely aware of the number of terrorists that are currently sitting above him in A. Dizzy Rascal getting the headshot onto Barcode there with the starting pistol.
And Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown with 3 kills. Is Charlie Brown going to ace? Will this be our first ace on stream?
That is some very clutch shots there. Some very impressive AK play. It's all down to Psycho Joe. Is he going to be able to shut down the monster that is Charlie Brown this round, or is he going to fall again to either him or one of those other two supporting teammates we see happening there? Charlie, unfortunately, rotating, but might just get him off. King of Wars takes the ace, just as Charlie was sneaking up behind him. Well played to the terrorist there. It was a very interesting change-up in strategy and very well done.
It was also nice entry fragging from Charlie Brown, getting those 2 crucial kills in the beginning, allowing for the Horde to go onto A site and plant the bomb. Not
Yes,
just
they
that, but
definitely
getting
broke into
those
them very
last
quickly there. It
kills
was
as well.
impressive to see. It was very impressive to see. So we see a similar situation as to what we have earlier happened is the terrorists have begun their snowball once again. Not getting a very quick and orb shot off there. Wonder whether Dizzy Rascal wants to peek again. He preps his Molotov. A very good throw as well, bouncing it off the wall. Caveman shooting down into the smoke.
Ooh, and
Partial then
TTH
taken out by
getting killed.
TTH.
Man with that shotgun that we were talking about in the beginning.
Unfortunately, Dizzy getting dropped down there to King of Wars. Imperfection getting a beautiful headshot to return the fire there. And a knock gets dropped down from PTH. A bit of captain on captain play there. Always good to see.
Now, look what the terrorists are doing. They flanking from A site. And I don't know if any of the counter-terrorists are... Yes, Necro is waiting, as I said, that Charlie
Once
Brown
again,
takes him down.
Charlie with those AK headshots is an absolute beast. Let's see, we see Barcode about to run into a shotgun there. Gets dropped by FTH, who'd actually changed over for his M16. Charlie get flashed, but not enough. Pet the Human dropped down by that brutal AK. Unfortunately, it could only taste 2 blood this round. Imperfection finally shutting him down before he gets to run away with another round. Counter-terrorists luckily get a bit of economy off that. We see an AWP and a scout being bought up there. Psycho Joe opting for a scalp this round, very interesting. While Dizzy Rascal stuck on a submachine gun. The terrorists have been forced into a full eco round. So not too dangerous, playing on what in my mind is the subpar sniper rifle. It is a full-on Circa BloodRush B situation we see happening here.
And let's see what he can do with the scout. And unfortunately, the scout
Psycho Joe drops down and Barcode takes out Dizzy Rascal. For an eco round, the terrorists have taken the advantage. Imperfection
just took down Pet the Human as well. So
as well. Very interesting. So Necro on his AWP, he wants to hold on to that. An Imperfection here. They realize they have to push into there. Necro takes out Pet the Human with his pistol there. Very well played. And he gets the high ground into Bravo. Let's see if he coordinates with Imperfection, who's pushed in. Unfortunately, while he was checking the doors, gets picked up from behind. And Necro drops to knock. Well played by the terrorists there. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to pick up Necro's AWP. Knock having to buy one of his own. But taking an eco round is a very impressive thing in my mind. When the other team... Yes?
Like, the counter-terrorist eco round is also a bit... they also on an eco.
Being forced out. Can they pull off the same move where the terrorists win off the eco round? I'm not sure, Maddox. Is that just me not realizing that it is something that can happen, or is it that unusual? Oh, unfortunately, Necro there only gets a single kill. Perhaps a little bit more patient, they would have pushed past him. PTH watching Waterfall, not yet realized that it is a full commit rush onto A. Rascal dropped down. Psycho Joe, at least with a heavy hitting pistol that doesn't get to hit heavy. That Deagle did not see any action at all.
PTH
and his position has been given away. Heavily partials Caveman, a bit of blood off King of Wars, but does not manage to finish either of them.
Mindy, it looks like everyone's busy complaining about the loss.
So it seems even though I haven't managed to receive any loss from the server so far this game, some of our players still are, which is an unfortunate situation.
Not just that, I'm also not receiving any loss at the moment as well. So I think it might be.
It might still be on the players. It will affect the players more than the spectators. The fact that it was so heavy on the first map that it affected us as well is unfortunate. But for a server to suddenly stop giving loss just because a map change doesn't make sense to me. So I fully believe them when they say there's loss coming. A good shot there, Pet the Human, headshotting Caveman through the cover there. Unfortunately, when he returns, gets taken down there by King of Wars. Necro covering the long side where there's no action happening at all. So if we move over to Dizzy Raffle, avenges his captain, takes down Barcode with his Mac, but his position is definitely given away and he's being kept under fire under there. Imperfection and Dizzy Rascal deciding to re-rotate over.
3v3 situation. Let's see how
Imperfection doing some interesting jumps here. Desperate to pick up that AK and eventually gives up on it and doesn't manage to take that push through. All down to Necropolis, given away. Unfortunately, caught with his pants down, trying to come back into the upper side of Bravo there and shot from across the yard. Terrorists are taking this 10-4 at the moment. A shotgun coming out on Necropolis.
This is the last round for the first half. Let us see what the counter-terrorists
So
can do.
Psycho Joe affords a FAMAS where Imperfection is currently sitting on just some utility and a pistol. I wonder, Maddox, if the cost of the FAMAS could have been split between the two of them in terms of some utility, and they both could have got away with a submachine gun.
That is actually a fair point. I didn't take notes of what the economy was with regards to.
So little does Necro know, right now he is about to get and gets pushed by the terrorist right from behind him. Psycho Joe having to re-rotate back into A side, but the terrorists are heavily set up there.
And terrorists have planted the bomb. Now it's a 3v5 situation.
King of Wars takes down Psycho Joe. Dizzy Rascal tries to rush in, and it's down to Imperfection, the last member of the team, the only member without a gun, and manages a quick headshot onto Barcode. Good shot by him, and that is the first half.
So if we take a recap on that half, we can see that the economy for the counter-terrorists were not as strong as what it was in the previous game, and unfortunately, due to that, they were not able to perform at their best, ending in an 11-4 win for the Horde. Now, let's see what they can do as terrorists.
A very crucial round that is normally very balanced is the first round that comes through, Maddox. Purely down to pistol skill. Is there any side bias when it comes to the first round of a game?
Well, pistols is a main important game. It's sort of how we can say if you win the pistol round, you've got an advantage up in the economy, and you're also in their heads. So, this should always be advantages and disadvantages with regards to pistol round.
The terrorists managing to do a strong push into A side there. Are they aware that the counter-terrorists have been split both from B and coming from long here? I see Necropolis is about to make contact with Narc here. Will Narc peek and gets the peek. It's a firefight and Narc takes down Necropolis. Well played to him there. Unfortunately,
is PTH going to get the trade kill? Unfortunately not.
Dizzy Rascal is the last man alive. Ooh, gets picked off there. Manages to take down Narc. Dizzy versus King of Wars. The bomb is down. King of Wars gets the kill. I think he does have the time. There's a considerable amount of time.
Now, unfortunately, that was an excellent play by BloodRush Gaming. Unfortunately, they hold, as Imperfection just said, nice retake, gents.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
For the Horde has an excellent retakes where I think BloodRush Gaming needs to work on that in a sense, as their retakes aren't as up to par as
BloodRush definitely had the advantage. The fact that they could push right through the counter-terrorist and get the bomb down while being in a 5-3 situation means at the beginning of the round they had the clear advantage. It required a massive clutch play by For the Horde to break back into them. We see King of Wars being pushed there.
And
Pit the Human.
Terrorists are planting on B. Let's see
Quick
how
plant is down.
these-
That's definitely done for the economy. The global 300 gold means that even though they bought up some submachine guns this round, they need more gold to afford the AKs in the next round. So the second plant was crucial for them. Narc pushing through the smoke here, about to run with his S to imperfection, taken down. What can Charlie do in a 1v3 situation? I would say this round has already gone to BloodRush. Ooh, a good
Ooh,
sneak
taking
round to
down
Dizzy
Dizzy
Rush.
Rascal.
He's rushing round the bomb, gives it up. Taken down. Will the bomb go off? Will it? Nope, they managed to save those last two guns. I believe that he realized that by the time he reached the bomb, he wasn't going to defuse it. What he wanted to do is perhaps not force himself to be killed by a player, but let the bomb take them all out.
Yeah, that is that would have been a smart play, as then that causes
The small economy reduction on the terrorist side. Charlie's rush there not paying off. Narc being dropped by Necropolis. Charlie feels them being pushed back through middle, right on his heels. He wasn't able to get to cover in time, and the terrorists have broken into Alpha.
What a play.
King of Wars, last man alive with very little in the terms of weaponry. Is he going to push into them, or does he realize that I cannot fight a 1v5 situation? Unfortunately,
going
if
for the
he
flank.
doesn't drop, he won't get money. So it is within his advantage to at least give it the attempt, go down fighting, take some players out so that he can get the losing gold bonus. And there we go, imperfection drops off King of Wars. And two out of the first 3 rounds have swung in the direction of terrorists here. Interesting to see, Maddox. You were talking earlier that there has been some slight updates to the balancing in Counter-Strike, especially around the pistols, I believe.
Yeah, so recently Valve has released that they will be buffing up the Tech 9, not the Tech 9, sorry, my bad, the Glock. With that buff, they've also decreased the punch, I'm not sure what it is, the aim punch, which happens when you get shot at and then your screen keeps going, it looks like you are being pushed back and forward.
Suppressing
to the
fire,
shots.
something along that, yeah.
Which does get really annoying because then you have to compensate for your aim for with regards to that. So that has been decreased. I think the majority of Counter-Strike players are with regards to that update.
That's interesting to see. So correct me if I'm not wrong. The Glock is the terrorist starting pistol. It doesn't cost them any money to get it.
Doesn't cost them any money unless they have another weapon and then want to buy that Glock.
Okay,
Well, that's
so
weapon.
that would definitely be considered a buff to the terrorist team, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, well, at the moment, the counter-terrorists had the USPS, which is a one-tap headshot without a Kevlar or a helmet on. So now the Glock has been given a buff as well. So we'll see in the coming days how the players handle that buff.
Has this already been applied to Counter-Strike, or is it still coming now?
I think it has been applied.
So it is live.
Yeah, I think it is live. Like I said, I'm not too sure. I just read the all the WhatsApp group chats I'm in. Some of the Counter-Strike players are really happy with regards to that.
A lucky situation, Imperfection found himself in there. Face to face with a counter-terrorist while he was completely blinded. Thankfully, the counter-terrorist shot at his fellow player first before moving on to allowing Necro to unflash himself. Is that even a word? What we call when you let the effects of the flash wear off and managing to get the kill off there? A definite power heading towards the terrorists at the moment, Maddox. Do you want to comment on why we see that the terrorist teams on both halves here seem to have a bit of a momentum boost over the counter-terrorist team?
I think at the moment this is a terrorist T-sided map, and the holds for the counter-terrorists aren't as strong as what I thought they would be, and it looks like BloodRush is just
using it effectively.
Advantage and getting those bomb plants. Not just that, but I think the counter-terrorists or the terrorists have had 3 bomb plants in a row now, and that's also boosted the economy. counter-terrorists not getting those trade kills as what we would expect them to be doing.
Ooh, some good shooting with that AK there by Dizzy Rascal. In fact, those kills were split across 3 different terrorists there, where Dizzy getting assists on all of them. Some spray firing off into the smoke there. It looks like Narc has decided to save his AWP, perhaps get a pick-off kill as the terrorists run away from the bomb explosion there, and conserve a little bit of economy for him.
Oh yeah, if you have an AWP, I would actually save the AWP at the moment, as that is
He has
a
a AWP.
powerful weapon.
He has full up on his armor. He has utility for the next round, so he doesn't need to buy anything going into the next round. The fact that he can only lose from this point of view, especially the likelihood of him being able to push onto the bomb with 4 terrorists with only an AWP, is a very tall call. I would say that was the correct move from him.
Oh yes, no, you got an AWP. Your economy is bad at the moment. He's able to buy his fellow teammates a weapon. So saving that AWP was a good call from him. Let's see if they can come back this round.
Yes. So we see Necro opting to buy himself up an AWP there. 4 AKs and an AWP, a very typical terrorist composition. Rush happening into mid here.
Oh, and they're going onto the cat side. Let's see if Narco is preparing for that. Looks like he is. He hasn't,
They've gone up, but you see a little bit of grenades being thrown past Charlie here. Is he going to get the sneaky little flank? Hiding right behind the door in mid. Pre-firing into it, and Dizzy gets a massive AK shot there. Narc thankfully managing to get the shot from A side down into mid, take him out. But here comes the terrorist push. PTH firing through the wall, taking down King of Wars. Ooh, gets dropped. Narc unfortunately losing to Necro's AWP there. And it's down to Imperfection. This is going very well for the counter-terrorists. It's a 1v1 situation. Barcode versus Imperfection. They are aware where each other are. And Barcode, even though he was in the situation of firing second, perhaps that is what you were talking there regarding the suppressing fire mechanic being lowered a little bit. It allowed Barcode to maintain the opportunity to be competitive and shoot back at Imperfection, even though he got shot at first.
Oh yes, no, definitely. So players are looking forward to that being reduced. And it looks like the terrorists were able to fall by, and the counter-terrorists are doing another fall by. Although the economy is at the moment looking really, really bad. Let's see what they can do. Hopefully they get some kills like they did last time and come back.
Yes, very much an all-in situation for the counter-terrorists here. They know that they're running out of rounds to make something happen. So they're investing in the few rounds that they can, even if it is a high-risk, high-reward situation.
And Barcode playing Chicken Coop. No one sees him on Chicken Coop. Gets down Tiger Joe. Takes, almost took down 2. And Necro with the AWP. 2 AWP kills on 2
Ooh,
for the 4.
third AWP kill there, finishing off Charlie as well. That's been a very good play there by Necropolis this round.
Looks like Narco is falling back to save the game.
Still in that situation where he is the solo AWP carrier. He is still full up on his utility. He's got his armor. He knows that if he can survive this round, he doesn't need to buy again. They still have 3 rounds in their bag that they can win it. So after being aware that his team had to do a very full buy-up, perhaps he realizes at least one of us needs to maintain their economy. So keeping the AWP is not a bad call here as well. They do have a couple of rounds to play with. And if any of the terrorists are retreating early into spawn... Ooh, Narc had an opportunity right at the end there. Unfortunately, he'd already decided that they wouldn't make it across in time. Making eye contact across the field there for the smallest moment when either of the players realized that they could have been killed after round end. A very terrifying situation.
And it looks like it's an eco round for the counter-terrorists, and what happens, as we were talking about that, at the end of the round it was 11-4 in the favor of for the Forge, and BloodRush Gaming has just come back, and now it's 10-13.
A good pick there by Caveman. Manages to get himself a kill, but unfortunately the weapon drop didn't go in his favor.
And Dizzy Rascal with the Kobe.
Heavily partial. Takes Caveman down. Still a fair trade at the moment. Narc with his AWP in chicken coop. Hopefully he's going to use it as effectively as he needs to. He sees barcode being dropped. Ooh, doesn't get the first shot, and he is getting fired into chicken coop there. Taking a couple hits and shot through the walls. Actually, there was a little bit of collateral damage there when it comes to the chickens.
Now look at this. Bomb has been dropped onto B site, and there's a crossfire from Charlie and King of Wars.
Necro is sitting with the AWP, and he's aware that someone has to be camping there behind the statue. Unfortunately, that molly does not force him out, landing a little bit short.
Like Imperfection is going in for the kill. King of Wars doing the quick peek, baiting out those shots. Doing some damage on
Imperfection manages to get the AK shot off there. Just as deadly as an AWP when it comes to hitting you in the head and getting that kill. Trying for the sneaky plant there right at the end for that little bit of extra money, but not managing to get that in time. A second eco round for the counter-terrorists as they almost even the scoreboard. Counter-terrorists still having a 2-round lead, but this map has definitely gone in the way of the terrorists.
Oh yes, no, as you can see, this is clearly a two-sided or a T-sided map, and Caveman also going down to Dizzy Rascal with the nade again. Looks like that drop is a bit of a...
Waterfall seems to be more of a bloodbath in my mind.
Oh yeah, but,
oof, Barcode getting the shot there, going for the pickup of the weapon and running straight into Pet the Human, unfortunately. Dizzy Rascal getting the early plant and gets punished for it. King of War taking him from behind. Pet the Human and Imperfection running around with those very deadly AKs, while Charlie on his pistol, and King has picked up the AWP. Doesn't manage to get the nade over, and that round goes to the counter-terrorists.
that was an excellent play by King of Wars, sitting in a corner, and fortunately for him and unfortunately for BloodRush Gaming, they didn't check that corner, which gave King of Wars 2 kills there with his pistol, and allowing him to pick up an AWP. So
a full AK round for the terrorists. Now the terrorists are aware that they cannot afford to give away another round. This is do or die moment. 6 rounds in a row. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. And that is the only way they can get the win. Counter-terrorists.
Like they are leaning towards an A push, where Charlie Boom taking down Dizzy Rascal in mid, and
so far hasn't gone very well for them, yeah. A little bit of friendly fire going on there. A little bit nudge nudge, wink wink.
I think that flashbang may have scared Rascal a bit, and just spraying and praying and hoping to get a kill. Unfortunately hitting his own teammate, so...
Imperfection about to be flanked here.
Stop hitting me, so... And Charlie Brown with the flank, can he... Yes, he can. Takes down Imperfection and PTH with that flank. What's a flank, bro?
And the counter-terrorists have just secured, at the very minimum, a draw for the Horde have got this night. They're voting for a timeout on the very last round of the map.
And
what is this?
It
seems that one of the members of For the Horde has disconnected. Unfortunate time there. I would do the cheeky thing and attempt to take the final round of the map 4v5, but that is not fair in terms of esports. So let's wait for who is it who's dropped here? Barcodes for the Horde has dropped. Let's see when he reconnects, and then we will start out for what could be the very final round of this match in between BloodRush Gaming and For the Horde.
I think the barcode scanner wasn't working so well. That's maybe why he dropped.
See, what I find with those things is you take them out of their little docket for too long, they run out of battery, and it just becomes inefficient.
Oh yeah, no, that little red dot or the red line just doesn't show
Yeah,
up
next thing
anymore.
you know, you're scanning yourself for Coca-Cola and you've bought yourself a rack of ribs.
Well, a rack of ribs.
I wouldn't complain
sounds-
myself, hey, my docs.
No, a rack of ribs is better than a bottle of Coke. So yeah, looks like still being paused. And as we said, that looks like Barcode's got his batteries recharged and is joining the game. Thank you to all those who paused.
There we go. And best of luck to For the Horde. Take this final match in. Enjoying Charlie balancing a knife there on his finger. Not the smartest thing to do for someone who needs that finger to win a round. Pull the trigger. And it looks like the match will be resumed.
He's just jealous because he can't balance the knife in his finger like Charlie can.
I wouldn't even try. New keyboard. We see the reason for the... That was a comment from Necro there.
I suppose he had a spelling error. I'm a grammar Nazi, so I kind of saw how he spelled unpause so poorly. The new keyboard excuse. Like,
Excuses,
justify.
excuses.
You can ask Mindy, I like doing that. If someone does a spelling error, I tend to say,
Rip them for it for days,
"Oh,
don't you, Maddox?
You rip them. I rip them just to make them mad in the group chat. And when they're at a certain point of being mad, I'm just like, oh,
Ooh.
okay, it's no fun anymore. What? The caveman just committed suicide. How did he do that?
He ran through the molly that
I'm gonna
Charlie-
have to do this, but can we get 1Gs in the chat, please? That was a very awkward moment for Summit 1G as he was in a pro game and ran through a molly to win the game for his team.
oof, a rough situation.
Looks and it's and GG well played.
GG,
For the
well
Horde
played. A
takes the
good
game.
finish there by Knock, captain of For the Horde, getting those beautiful AWP plays. Well played, everyone. To our viewers, thank you very much for tuning in and watching this so far. It's been a rough cast both for the players and us in terms of getting a couple scenarios where there was intense packet loss. But please do stay tuned. We will have the captains in here to learn a little bit more about For the Horde, the team that has been playing BloodRush Gaming here, as well as BloodRush's captain Pet the Human coming in, and let's have a bit of banter in between the two captains. In the meantime, please stay tuned while Maddox goes in and grabs our new captains. And for your viewing pleasure, sit back, relax, and see Counter-Strike caster with just sub 50 hours game time try a little bit harder to learn how to play this game.
Yeah, we have Pit the Human that is gonna join us now. So Minnie, if you got a few questions, you can ask him, and we'll be waiting on for the Forge captain.
User was moved to your channel.
Hello, Pet the Human.
Hey guys, what's up?
Welcome. Thanks for joining us again after this chat. A very unfortunate evening we've had here. I saw you guys experiencing a lot of packet loss. We even experienced it from this side, from the streaming point of view. Unfortunately, sometimes that is what happens. Any comments regarding that?
Ah, you know, Telcom. No, dude. It
User was moved to your
unfortunate,
channel.
but you know, we gave it horns. In the end, we're just like, you know what, screw it. Let's just push like exposed to random like shit and work for the most part in that last round. But yeah, dude, very well played game by that team, especially for them being new. I was very impressed.
On that note, I don't know much about For the Horde myself, and I believe we have their captain in here with us as well, Nark, who can give us a bit more of information and a history of his team For the Horde. Nark, do we have you with us?
I am here. What's up,
Fantastic. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. Nark, something that Pet the Human will be aware of. I love to hear more about the teams that we cast. Would you do us a favor and introduce us to the different players on your team? Tell us a bit more about it. Tell us a bit more about the team itself for the Horde. Where did you come up with that name, firstly? Because I remember it back from my days of sitting on the farm on an old Dell laptop playing Warcraft 2.
Well, basically, this is not my team, to be quite honest. It's my boss's team. I work with him throughout basically in my real world. He formed this team about, I think it was late July. And he only recently did the move to this team, basically trying something new because the previous teams didn't work out. As far as I have it, he was quite into the Warcraft and all of that. I'm not quite sure where he came up with the name, but I'm guessing it's from that. But yeah, other than that, it's basically that, I'll say.
Fantastic. I really do appreciate the name. Then in terms of the players that you have playing for you, Nock, I see that you're the AWPer on the team.
Yes,
You're one of the first to go to the AWPer. I always love watching the little AWP battles happening there. You had a battle too with Necropolis from BloodRush on the other side. It was entertaining to see. Why don't you introduce us to the roles and the playstyles of the other people on your team? I was chatting with Maddox, especially when it came to the first map. What was it? Inferno, yes, that was it. Start off with Barcode, please, because he has a very aggressive playstyle, which was absolutely beautiful to see.
Well, Barcode is actually our new addition to the team. He's a very good player. I'm very, how can I say this, proud of this guy because he's in a sense he's never played any like DJL scrims or anything like that, and not anything like that. But as far as I know, he's more like you said, an aggressive player. I think he's the into fragger for our team because he has position with his crosshair, as you guys saw. He's quite a good player, and yeah, I think he's playing entry fragger for us now.
That is wonderful to see. Your other players, run through the team list that you have there and let us know.
Okay. Well, Kings of War, he's more of a lurker, and then secondary AWPer, if you guys saw. Then what was his name? Caveman. He's the IGL, and then
IGL. Would you elaborate on that for me? I'm not a long time Counter-Strike player myself. I only started playing about 20 hours ago in terms of game time, and that was about the same time I started casting. So most of my game time is from casting. IGL is?
It's in-game leader.
In-game leader.
Gives us the calls, what to do, when, what to do, what happens, stuff like that. And then and then the Charlie B. Barkin, he's basically the support player. He's the utility for our team.
Tonight is actually the first time I've ever heard of a support player within Counter-Strike. I come from a MOBA background myself, where that's a very clearly defined role. What is the role of a support player?
Well, basically, he's there to call out most of the time. He's there to do the smokes, flashes, flash people. Basically, utility. He uses the smokes, flashes, nades, get everyone out of their little holes and try and basically give them to our people.
A crucial role, I do assume.
Yes, very.
Okay, fantastic. That is great to hear. Then, since it was a scrim that we've just watched, and in the sport of helping both teams to improve, do you have any comments to the captain of BloodRush Gaming to take back to his team?
Well, honestly, it's a very good team. I know one of the people basically in real life, just a psycho joke. And in real life, other than that, they are a really good team. They have good setups. They do weird stuff. Like the smoke, pushing through smokes. What was that?
Yeah, I need some smoke criminals out here.
Yeah, definitely. But other than that, you guys are actually good. I'd say you guys need to work a little bit on the aim side of things. And then, like, you'll need to get like a support player, in a sense of people who can flash you in or help you out with
kind of
pushing through the smokes.
Kind of doing that ourselves,
Yeah,
it's kind of
you're flashing yourself, so you're making yourself vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, Pet the Human, we have heard from your team before. Give us a bit of a run through. Since we last interacted with you guys, it was about 10 to 12 days ago. How's the team going? How's it feeling together? Been any improvements? Anything with the roster?
It's been good. Joe's back now. Like he had like a whole thing that he had to go through. I think it was last week. So we finally got him back now. And like I've also been working night shift every day for like the last 2 weeks. So sleep has been kind of scarce. So like that will definitely be part of why my aim is not up to scratch. But yeah, like other than that, we've got our full. That was our actual roster. But one of the guys, he said he's going to be doing his studies and that, and like his real life stuff more. So we're actually in the process of busy finding someone to like just take his spot, and he's going to like act as a stand-in kind of player for us.
Okay.
That will be Dizzy Rascal. He will be studying and that. So he told like he said like his real life stuff must come first, and we actually agreed with that, and we respect that. And at least he came to us and said, "Yeah, that's what's going to happen." So.
Okay, fantastic. That is great to hear. And then the last thing I'd like to ask from your two captains is, I heard recently there's been a patch that came out on Counter-Strike that did a couple of changes in terms of pistol balancing, and someone was trying to tell me something about like suppressing fire and whatnot. Do you have any opinions on that? Any explanations regarding what the patches are and what your opinions are? Are these a benefit to the game? Has it changed the balance?
Well, I'll say first thing, I hate the P250 now.
Yeah.
Because I forget every time it's not a one-tap pistol anymore. Like happened to me 3 times in that the last half of that previous game, where I'd one-tap someone, but I forgot it's not a one-tap pistol.
Oh,
It's
goodness.
become the new M4A1S.
Yeah, definitely.
And then in terms of the balance changes, because as I very often see in Inferno, it's a very CT favored map. I've seen teams go 12, 13 wins to the counter terrorists just to have that reversed on them, and it ending up as a very competitive game in the second half. You guys seem to have a much more volatile round there. Obviously, the CT were still favored, but the terrorists pulling off some very good round wins as well from both of you. And then alternatively into Cobbles, is the reverse true? Is it a terrorist favored map?
That's actually a hard one. I think that one's more 50-50, to be honest with you. It's just you either get lucky or you don't in Cobble. That's my personal opinion on that.
It's
map.
executes on the T side is the one that makes you win the round.
Exactly, yeah. That's very true.
I had a comment.
Definitely.
Yeah, I had a comment from my co-caster there. It's all about how you breach into the CTs. I noticed you, Narc, there. You played that waterfall drop quite often, and it's a very high action area there. Is that out of choice because you'd swap between playing an AWPer and playing right up front there with the shotgun?
It actually wasn't me that was playing there.
Oh, apologies.
No, it's fine. It was Caveman. That is a very hard sport to play. That's why we put him there, because he's a reckless player.
Okay.
He likes playing the close quarters, and he's actually good with the swag, but he had some few unfortunate timings there and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, I was mainly on the A long side with the AWP there. Got also a few unlucky timing. But yeah, other than that, the BloodRush Gaming is a real good team. In the T side, the T side is really good, very, very good.
Yeah, that's fantastic to see. Okay, well, thank you to both the captains for that chance to cast you. Unfortunately, there were server issues and telecom issues. There's not much we can do about that. Hopefully, we will run into both you teams as well. Put the offer out there to you guys from For the Horde that anytime you do want a bit of visibility on your team play, if you have a couple scrims going through, even if there's some matches you have coming up, feel free to contact us. I'm going to end off with one last question, and I think it is towards For the Horde there. That very last round of Cobbles.
Yes.
How did Caveman kill himself?
That's the exact same thing I was asking him. I'm not sure how he killed himself. It just happened. I'm really not sure how that happened.
Okay,
I was like, what just went down there? You were alone, you're killing yourself. What's up, dude?
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. It was an absolute treat
Thank you, Vic.
casting you. And to all our viewers out there, thank you for tuning in tonight. We will have another cast this coming Thursday with a guest streamer, G-Max. So please make sure to tune in for that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. That's myself, Mindy, signing off, and my co-caster here, Maddox.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Have a good evening. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Just